You could go ahead and push play.
Welcome to the Goddess Rap, where the mission is to empower, heal, educate, and create bonds with African women globally, and to promote a healthy, organic approach to sustaining the Black family. Each show, your hosts, Meri and Gabit, will cover a different topic related to Black women and the current events of the day. Connect with your hosts on Facebook at Goddess Rap and email goddessrapgm@gmail.com.
All right, y'all hear that? So y'all know what time it is. Okay. Peace and Black Power family. Welcome to day two of this media collaboration with Goddess Rap and New Knowledge Radio. We are here with the family, Joshua Ruffin. We are looking for justice, and we will not stop until we find it. So let me turn the platform over to the goddesses, and we can get started.
All right.
Yes. Thank you, Knowledge Warren, for having us today and for allowing us to utilize your platform so that this family's story may be told and that we can create the narrative. Um, First things first, we have Joshua Ruffin's uncle, Timothy Timmons. Timothy Timmons, do you mind telling the audience a little bit about who you are?
All right. Hey, how everybody doing? My name's Timothy Timmons. I am the uncle of Joshua Ruffin. I'm his uncle due to my older brother. Daryl had Joshua when he was a little younger. That's how I became his uncle.
Okay. What was your nephew like?
I mean, he was real bubbly, real witty, real goofy. He was always the life of the party. Just basically, you never seen him without a smile on his face. Always just a happy kid.
Yes. And how was your relationship with your nephew?
You know, Joshua, the relationship I had with him, it wasn't just with me, it was just like with my whole family. He had a tendency to bring out the kid in everyone. So, it was endless laughing and joking whenever he was around.
It sounds beautiful. And like you said, we, definitely extend our condolences, and it's sad that your family
Thank
had
you.
to, experience this situation. That leads me into the next question. When did your family actually find out about the shooting that occurred on April 8th?
Um, Maybe a few hours afterwards, they found out. We knew something was wrong. My brother said that him and Joshua were communicating because Joshua was actually walking to meet with him so he can pick Joshua up. And he said he heard about a shooting, and then Joshua wouldn't answer his cell phone anymore, so he knew something was wrong. So we found out maybe a few hours afterwards. My brother went up to the scene, and he was told by people on the scene that it was a 20-year-old kid with dreads. Joshua had a low cut, and he was 17. So we didn't think that it was Joshua initially.
And when you said he was told by people at the scene, was that just like by bystanders, or were that
I I
officers at the
I,
time?
I can't really say. My brother never
Okay.
confirmed to me, but he said it was just people at the scene. He never said it was officers, bystanders, whatever.
Okay. And what information did the family receive regarding your nephew's death from City of Columbia?
They never spoke to us ever. We never spoke to the police. There was like no form of transparency. We Joshua's mom went to the hospital. That's how it was confirmed. And when she went, I don't think she was able to even see him. And City of Columbia never spoke to us. We just popped on. We just seen social media the very next day. and it was a pretty much a very short press conference, and it just seemed like they was trying to protect the officer instead of inform the public what's going on.
Yes, and for those that are viewing now, and that you aren't familiar with the story, his nephew was gunned down by a police officer on April 8th, 2020, and it was said that apparently that he had a gun. It was also said that he pointed the gun at the officer. The family just received the video footage recently, about maybe a week or so ago, of the actual day that everything happened. And in that footage, you see that he clearly never pointed a gun at the officer, and
No,
he clearly, took off running. So for those of you that aren't familiar with the story, this is, the details surrounding the story that we're talking about today.
right. Yeah,
Um,
like I viewed the footage numerous occasions, and and I see that what I saw was Joshua attempting to run away. Never saw him attempt to shoot anybody or point anything towards anybody.
Yes, and I watched the footage myself as well. I followed the case way before the footage was even released. So even once we got the footage, it didn't show what was portrayed in the news article. They portrayed him as being an individual who had ulterior motives from the jump. They also accused him of pointing a gun. They accused him of facing the officer, and as you
None of
clearly
those
see
things
in
ever happened.
the video, that never happened. So you can kind of understand this family's their rage, their outcry for help, because this is being done right in front of us. This is being done in our own backyards. And it's sad. And as he said, it's also sad that the city of Columbia never spoke with the family. Um,
Never.
that to me is crazy.
And
Um,
they said in a press conference that they've been very transparent, and that was my thing. Like, how have you been transparent and we haven't spoken to you?
right.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, I mean, I don't know who they being transparent for, but because even
Or
with the
with.
media, they wasn't saying much inside of the media reports as well. So that's like I said, that's extremely unfortunate. I didn't know about that till today, that they had never reached out to you
We've
guys.
never spoken to them. No, ever.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what was it like for the family, for you all not being able to receive that footage until months after the shooting?
I mean, it was devastating. It felt like, we just and for the record, we still haven't received all the footage.
Right.
What
Right.
everybody see online, that's exactly what we saw. We saw it maybe an hour, maybe 2 hours before the public saw it. So we had no time to sit with it, digest it, nothing. And also, it's dash cam footage that's out there that we haven't seen. Like multiple witnesses at the scene say that Joshua was walking. He pulled up beside Joshua and they had a conversation. And from there, Joshua ran. We haven't had the footage of that.
Right.
Yeah, so even in the midst of it, even with releasing what they released, they still haven't been as transparent with us as as they could have been. Like, for instance, I felt like the footage that was released to us and the public was very blurry. I went to the
Mhm.
Carrier, which is a newspaper article, and I saw on the internet, and I saw clear footage. But through them, I didn't see that.
Yeah, and I had to experience the same thing. When they released it, they were doing a press conference, and in the midst of them doing the press conference, they did the press conference with the blurry video.
Right.
So inside that video, I never clearly saw your nephew. I couldn't tell what was going on in that video. But like you said, it wasn't until going to another website and viewing a clearer version of it was I able to grasp what actually happened and actually clearly see that a gun was never pointed, that he only looked back, it seemed like, to see how much distance he had, and he continued running. Um, and never had fired off any shots. The gun was never in a position to be fired.
Yeah, and it was a lot of things that just with this whole ordeal that I just didn't agree with. Like, for instance, we found out the name of the officer in the media the day of their ruling. To then, we didn't know who it was. So
Yeah.
that was 2.5 months with no form of closure or anything.
Yes. That goes into the next question that I wanted to ask you. Uh, the accounts that the media has portrayed as it relates to the shooting of your nephew, how accurate or inaccurate is those recalls of the situation? I know that it was said that he was facing forward, so that means, you know, he was shot in the forehead. Um, they said he pointed the gun at the officer. They said he hid. They said he was doing a whole bunch of other things. Like, how true is those accusations?
I mean, a lot of those accusations are very untrue. Because from what I gathered, the foot chase only lasted about 20 seconds. It's impossible to do all that in 20 seconds. And for the record, Joshua was a track star. He's very fast. So obviously he was gonna get away. And I think the reason that officer shot was because of that reason. He realized during that foot chase that he wasn't gonna catch Joshua. And I think that's the reason he shot. It was nothing about Joshua being a threat to him or anything like that.
No, I definitely agree, because even when the first shots was fired, Joshua was several feet away from the officer,
Right.
which he could have even taken cover himself behind something, but he instead, you know, decided to run and pursue your nephew by shooting at him. So
Right.
I don't feel that he was fearful for his life. I don't feel like he felt your nephew posed any danger to him at all.
Right. Right.
Um, the officer, we basically talked about that. The officer involved wasn't charged. How does the family feel, and what plan of action does the family plan on taking?
I mean, we're still exploring our options legally on that matter, and it was very heartbreaking because you clearly see the the things that were said wasn't true. Yet the officer is charged. So, and I would like to know their policies. Like, is it okay at any time for Columbia police to just get out their car and shoot?
Yes, I mean that those policies should be understood by citizens and as well as officers. And if it's not understood, then proper measures as it relates to disciplinary actions, whether it be jail time, however, it needs to be imposed as well. Because, like you said, if it's a situation where everybody can purchase a gun and have a gun, is it now that anytime an officer sees a gun, he has the right to shoot, even if
Right.
nobody's putting that officer in harm's way? What is it? Because it sounds like he was shot because he had a gun, not
Right.
because he put his hand on the trigger, not because he pointed the gun at the officer. He had a gun, and that was it.
And from that far, did the officer even know he had a gun? Like, I just want to know the truth for everything. Like, because I mean, it just don't seem it's. And you look at the video, it seemed like my nephew was clearly just trying to get away. He never pointed anything.
No.
Granted, I don't agree with no 17-year-old child having no gun.
Yes.
And I did not know he did. I did not know he had one in his possession. But at the same time, I don't think that having a gun should get you killed either.
No. I mean, I don't believe that as well. I mean, like I said, he didn't pose any danger, and it's unfortunate that if the officer truly saw a gun, it's unfortunate that he felt the need to paint the narrative that your nephew, pointed the gun or he had to fear for his life. I think it's deeper than just your nephew having a gun or the officer saying. It's the simple fact that the facts it doesn't line up with what was
Yeah,
said.
like we don't know why he was stopped in the first place.
Right.
Like that's one of the biggest issues. We heard a story about car break-ins that they put out to the media. Well, we know that Joshua was nowhere in that area. Joshua was walking to the store, then walking to meet back with his father.
He
Yeah,
was
that's what he.
profiled.
I mean,
Yeah, that's what he did.
looking at cases like this, and the civil unrest, and the dissatisfaction with the way that the police handled this in cases like this, do you think that community policing would reduce instances of police brutality? I mean, because there have been a plethora of alternatives that have been thrown out in to deal away with police right now. That's the conversations that are
Yeah.
going on around the country.
I think that community policing would definitely reduce it, or even end it for that matter, due to the fact that we know how to deal with each other. Like, and a lot of times,
Yes,
and a
yes,
lot of times with these police brutality incidents, we're really just about 95% of the time it's a white cop dealing with a black male, and I see the root of that is, you put these white cops in our community, they don't know how to deal with us. They're scared of us, and instead of talking with us, communicating with us, they decide to pull weapons instead.
That's
yes,
true.
yes.
Uh,
So I wanted to ask, going back to the points that you had made before, does his father know how he got the gun, or
No,
was it a situation where he picked it up maybe from
I,
somebody at school, or?
we're all surprised about this whole gun situation. All of us, none of us know, like, because he wasn't that type of kid, and he had no enemies. He was friendly with everyone. So that's still
Yeah,
like as a mystery.
I mean, I could just imagine, like, what what was it that made him feel unsafe enough to you
And I
know
mean, and
carry.
and I don't know. I mean, and again, I'm not saying it as an excuse, but he was a 17-year-old kid, and at that age of 17, unfortunately, a lot of us do stupid things. And
Yes,
he
yes.
carried a gun. He carried a gun, but he pointed a gun, and he had no intent of hurting anyone.
yes. And I guess that's why, as parents, as aunties, uncles, you try to instill the right things inside of your nieces, nephews, daughter, sons. But at the end of the day, sometimes you can't prevent certain situations. But even with a situation such as this, um, like so many people can hone on, oh, he should have never had a gun, or where did he get the fact of the matter, I feel, is what did he do with the gun on that day? And
Not a
for that
thing.
incident, alone, you never saw him intentionally try to endanger that officer's life. But instead, you see him fleeing, and you constantly see the officer, hunting him down. And then eventually, it's like, okay, I'm gonna shoot you because I cannot catch up with you.
Yeah, that's what I got from it.
Mm. Um, while we're on the subject of uh, you know public policy and whatnot, um, there's a new policy that they're trying to put in place in Texas that it requires that students be taught how to interact with the police, and to behave properly uh, while interacting with the police. You know, I would like for you to comment on it before, if you have any comments on it.
I mean,
I just think it's interesting.
to me, growing up, my parents always taught us, if we ever get into anything with police as kids, call them. So I think that students should be doing that. I think that it more so falls on law enforcement to be able to interact with the younger generation.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, let's be honest, a kid without a guardian or legal representation shouldn't be interacting with the police. That's my opinion.
Yes,
Like,
I mean, I agree with you. I think I just saw a footage a while back on social media where these officers had he had to be 6, 7, 8 at the most year old little boy in handcuffs.
right.
His parents wasn't around. They're tussling with him. They're roughhousing. This is an 8-year-old boy. Um, so again, I guess my sentiments on that policy is, the officers need to know how to interact with the children, or need to know, whether or not they need to call the parents first before going any further. But a lot of times it's an ego complex. And it's they want to do it how they want to do it. And y'all have to get in to fit in type deal. And there's so many instances, no matter whether a person cooperates, they don't cooperate. If you're black, you tend to have to deal with more of the chances of, a likelihood that you can be shot. The officer is going to hurt you physically. I have to watch this a lot. Seeing the video the other day where this officer pulled this guy over for supposedly speeding. Now he wanted to arrest him. The guy thought that the other officer was coming to basically assist, and he can kind of tell him what happened. But before he can get any words out of his mouth, the officer punched him in the face. So this is something that our youth is having to see. So then, that question that you asked, what made him feel unsafe? Who's to say that the officers, the presence of knowing officers such as that is in your neighborhood? I don't know
Right.
what it's like for a young child, a young boy, a young girl to have to see the injustices done on their people, day in and day out. And how does that mess with them psychologically? I will never know. But I do know a lot of them are fearful of the cops. They don't feel like the cops are there to protect them. They feel like they are a prey and they are being hunted daily. So to me, I think it's a situation where, us as the adults, us as the ones with the wisdom, need to instill in our kids the importance, like he said, of checking in with us. If you are at a situation where you're interacting with officers, pick up the phone, give us a call, tell them you need to call my mother or my father, or any legal guardian before interacting with me. And simple as that. That is your legal right as a minor.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the policy and I'm like, this to me sounds like another mechanism of social control. I mean, I really don't believe that how we behave or misbehave is the issue. Or you see all kinds of footage where you'll have the passenger, you know, addressing the officer, or the driver addressing the officer. Yes, sir. Okay, sir. Like, and they still persist to pull them out the car or shoot up their car. So, it's kind of frustrating. I was listening to the points you were making about like the discrepancies between how they were presenting it in the media, and like this was a 20-year-old, like this was an adult. Like, um, it's just it's crazy how a lot of times they're profiling and they looking at young folk, at teens, and dealing with them as if they're an adult. I'm this case brings to mind so many different experiences
And
that I've had personally. And
we
yeah,
just we just feel as though he should have never been stopped from the beginning. It was no reason to stop him.
I agree.
Yeah, like
absolutely, absolutely.
he was walking to the store and back to his dad's house, and he should have been able to do that.
I agree. And it's unfortunate. Even with what they claim to be the reason why he might have even been initially stopped, he had nothing in his possession that was related to any crime. So it's like you profiled this young individual from the start, and you had in your mind what you wanted to do with this individual.
And for the record, I never believed that story. Like, for instance, it was broad daylight when it happened. Who's
Right.
breaking cars in broad daylight? Like no
Nobody.
one. Yeah, no one.
Nobody.
And he
And
wasn't dressed to do that. He had on a bright white T-shirt. He was going to hide from no one doing that. Wasn't dressed to do that at all.
yes, and that goes into another thing that you kind of brought up, Maria, as related to community policing. You know, it's a situation that where you have individuals that are policing the way they want to. Even with this case, it was brought upon that text message was sent from some individual within the neighborhood, talking to the officer in which shot Joshua Ruffin, and was saying that there was a lot going on in the neighborhood. Needless to say, like he said, when I was reading everything, I'm thinking that everything happened at nighttime because they're talking about cars being, broken into like crazy in the neighborhood. So they're going to do a canvas of the area.
My
It's
thing is this:
daytime,
like initially, when it first happened, you got Columbia's police stated that you got a call about the car break-ins.
right?
Now the day that you guys had that press conference that announced you wasn't charging the officer, all of a sudden it's a text message. Which one was it?
Right. And as you guys can, see and hear, it's been so many discrepancies in what the media is telling, viewers such as myself or anybody that's not in the family, and what the actual truth is.
Right.
So, yeah, it's truly unfortunate, but that's why we are here today to allow this family's story to be told in an
Right.
authentic manner, and for you, the audience, to
Yeah,
get the truth.
yeah.
To get in now to support this family. Don't wait till CNN or somebody else makes it big. We have to make it big. We have to
Right.
do it, right here in our own backyard. We cannot expect for others to do more than what we are willing to do. And like I said, it's extremely sad because it's not a situation where this just has had to happen. This has had to happen, and there's no plan of action for the officer involved.
Right. And the
Nobody's going to
scary thing
address
is
the discrepancies in the news articles. Nobody's going to address the fact that this family hasn't spoken with anybody from City of Columbia Police Department.
and the scary thing is this officer being able to be back in our community after that happened. So that's telling me that, and I've heard rumors, but I haven't seen it on paper. But I heard that this isn't the officer's first shooting incident involving a young black male. But I've heard that, and my thing is,
Wow.
yeah, and my thing is, if we continue to allow this thug to patrol our community, things like this are going to continue to happen.
Exactly.
So that's why I advise people in the community to pay attention and get behind what we're doing and things of that nature, because guess what? It can be your child next. It can be your nephew next.
Right.
Absolutely. I mean,
Because Mr.
that's
Kevin
I think
Davis is
that's one of the
clearly not
reasons.
fit to patrol. He's not. And we don't need him out here
Absolutely.
doing it. We don't need him out here doing this to anyone else's child.
Exactly.
I that kind of brings me to the next point. Like, I this case, like you said, it could have been, our brother, it could have been our husbands, our father. This happens too often, like to the point to where, you know, it's so many names, it's almost just overwhelming. I can remember back to right after, the Trayvon Martin case. And
Right.
I remember having a conversation with my mother, uh some of the things that she was trying to teach. I have a younger brother, and she was telling me how she had to tell him to remove his hood when he went into the stores and when he was walking, because he's tall. He's always been a big boy. He's like 6'4", and so it's like that is a problem where you can't even walk in your normal attire without being ostracized or, threatened or attacked. And I really, I've been watching, the protests, and I'm thinking about how when I was coming up, my mom stayed playing Gil Scott Heron, and the revolution will not be televised, uh, being one of the cuts, but is pretty much saying how revolution is not something that is comfortable, it's raw, it's real, it's in your face. And there are a lot of talking heads who are saying that, we shouldn't be out there, um, that we need to express our grief and our rage in a specific way. And it's like, no, like these are our brothers, these are our sisters. Um, and on another note, like, I think that social media has almost become like it's an alternative news form for a lot of young folk. Um, and it's weird because you hear a lot in one hand people admonishing Trump and his statements of the fake news, but we know that Facebook, for instance, and other social media outlets are being co-opted by federal agencies.
Right.
And so I'm kind of wondering how, uh, how social media has helped, or did it hurt in this case? Did it help garner any attention? Um, or is it further desensitizing us from, cases like these?
I mean, with our situation, social media pretty much helped us because, after a few posts were put up, the DMs started to come for people like, how can we help? How can, but I think social media definitely helps in these type of situations.
I think so too. I think if it wasn't for social media, you wouldn't be able to get sometimes that real authentic truth. As we clearly see, where these are credible news platforms, but they're not giving us the authentic truth. We're getting told lies that aren't in fact the truth as it relates to his case. And this doesn't just happen with Joshua Ruffin. This happens all the time, and it happens more than we would, even care to know. But it happens, and it's happening. So it makes avenues such as this a great one because his family can now have a voice. His family can now speak the truth that so many want their voices to be hidden. So many want their voices to not be heard, or y'all just deal with what we said is going to be the facts, and that's that. Y'all deal with this blurry video that we've released to the media as it relates to something that is so deep and so significant. This is what they released for the family. Y'all didn't even take the time to do a press conference with a clear version of the video.
Right.
Y'all have the proper tools and avenues to do so, but y'all didn't do it.
And
But
also, it's like, why have a press conference and not be transparent? Because
right.
we heard a lot of lies in that press conference.
Yes.
And the saddest thing about that the saddest thing about that press conference was the fact that it was a black prosecutor, uh, pretty much said all these things about my nephew and deciding not to charge the officer. And it was just sad. I was like, I'm up there like, look at this guy tap dance up there for these people and do this. It hurt. It did.
Right. And like like you said, and that's another thing
Can't hear
that
you.
is also that is also done, where they're gonna take somebody that look like you and they're gonna feed you this and say take it because it's coming from somebody that look like you. Like he said, to me, they've shown from all that I've heard, a level of insensitivity to this family, to not even give the family the proper respect of showing a clear video to viewers. It's a situation where, you know, this family had to view this video in this low quality, such as everyone else. And this low quality video was the video that was utilized inside of the press conference. So to me, it's mind blowing. It's mind blowing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, I'm sure he'll pass back in, but I guess it's a question for both of y'all. You know, how do we maintain control over the narrative without you know, without social media or even, you know, broadcasters perverting it?
Sorry, Marie, about that. I was checking with him. He's about to get back in. But to answer your question, I think doing what we're doing right now, allowing our platform, connecting with other platforms, to where the story can be told. I think the detriment is us waiting for CNN or New York Times or some big name article to get the story out. We have to be the driving forces. We have to be willing to be that for ourselves. So I think that's the main solution, is us creating the narrative. I think for so long we have been comfortable with the narrative being painted by whatever credible news source that they say is credible. And I feel like that's why this story, that's why this situation doesn't have the outcry that it needs, because it's not being told in a manner that is giving this family, you know, their just due. So many people think that this individual was guilty. They feel like he's the criminal. You know, he's not the victim in their eyes. So I think, you know, to answer your question, if I did, I think doing what we're doing today is definitely key in us moving forward. Like I said, we have to create our own narratives.
Right. And like I said, more importantly,
if I can add to that,
go ahead.
Go ahead, brother. I'll go after you.
Oh, I was about to say, more importantly, I feel like, you know, we don't do things like what we're doing today, and we remain silent. That lets them know it's okay to kill the next black child after that, and the next one after that. And if we sit and take it, it'll continue to happen.
That's true.
I think that we need to bring a cultural awareness to how we report. If you look at the media, whatever we call it, we could call it, you know, white media and black skin. We do not come from a cultural perspective, because your cultural perspective controls how you approach situations. You understand what I'm saying? So a lot of the times we see black faces with Eurocentric value systems. So they approach a situation very, 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 you know, desensitized, and also from a perspective of trying to play it safe. This is not a safe situation. You know, as I stated before, there's psychological trauma that this family is going to have to endure for the rest of their life. You understand what I'm saying? Like, you'll never look at a phone call the same way again. You see what I'm saying? So this is where your cultural understanding comes in, to say, okay, hey, brother, hey, sister, we got you. You understand what I'm saying? So indiscriminate of looking to break a story and all these things come from a competitive space of European domination in regards to the mind. So they could not see Joshua as a child. They had to see him as a target, the same way that they saw Tamir Rice as a target. You understand what I'm saying? There was no difference between one black life to the next one in regards to how they're trained, they're oriented and socialized in the community that they belong to. You understand what I'm saying? So the media becomes another arm to further minimize, character assassinate, and destroy in this process. You understand what I'm saying? So then if you look at the court system, it's another arm that is used from the same family system to further distort the truth. You understand what I'm saying? So like facts and truth are not the same thing. Facts become relevant to the situation and context that it's put in. Truth, is something that remains constant throughout. You understand what I'm saying? So they can skew facts, they can skew numbers. Everybody can get their story together, and if it all sounds cohesive, it appears like it's the truth. So our job as Black media from a culture is to look for the truth. You understand what I'm saying? So we have to look for the truth from a perspective and a mindset that we are here not to victimize the people that are already been victimized, not to capitalize off of the victimization of Black devastation and destruction. The world is doing that. There's no place on the planet, nobody from any other place on the planet that is not benefiting off of Black death and devastation, Black exploitation and the like. You understand what I'm saying? So you couldn't expect anything other than for our enemies and for those bloodsuckers that are around our communities and around our people to report anything other than what they did. We can't, in the same notion, allow ourselves to be devoid of a cultural understanding. Y'all spoke about community policing earlier. That only works when the community has an understanding of a reward and punishment system for those who act outside of the confines of the established law in the community. So if we're policing ourselves and someone gets out of hand in what they have to do, there has to be a penalty. You understand what I'm saying? There has to be some kind of punishment system in place to be a deterrent. You understand what I'm saying? So this kind of environment, initially community policing, you had to live in the neighborhoods that you policed. Just like no different than the teachers back in the day when we were coming up, they lived in our communities. So it was, an authority in the situation. They could defuse situations. Now you have rogue, military trained, European funded warlords that are out here with no leash, with no level of accountability, and no connection to the places where they patrol. You understand what I'm saying? So it's a large agenda that's there, and we get swept up in the currents because we are always a conduit for an ascension. So the taking of a Black life leads to promotion, leads to a whole bunch of money, all kinds of stuff. As we've seen that they operate this family system very systematically. This is why we look at it like it's a system, it's a machine. Like, no, they're people. They're people with addresses. They're people with phone numbers. You understand what I'm saying? They're people. They're people that can be found, as we've seen that as well. So, I think we need to be mindful from that cultural perspective of the onus or the mindset when it comes to accurately reporting what's going on with us, with sensitivity, with patience, with love. You understand what I'm saying? And it's our story. Joshua belongs to all of us. You understand what I'm saying? This is our family member. So we approach the situation like this, something happened to our family member, because, you'll hear brother or sister say, yo, if that was my son, if that was my daughter, it is your son, it is your daughter. You understand what I'm saying? So that kind of collectivist approach to this whole situation, we will all be looking for justice. So I just wanted to add that in real quick and, commend you, Brother Timothy, for having the courage to carry forth your family's narrative, even though it's very tumultuous for everybody. You understand at this particular time.
I appreciate you.
I think my last question, in that same vein, that Bourne said, but I want to know for the young children, because I have a 4-year-old as our youngest, and I wonder, how do we discuss like heavy matters like this with the young ones?
And that's been a very difficult part for our family because, Joshua has younger brothers and sisters around that age. And, I don't, some of them are like, I want to, where's my brother? And that's where the difficulty lies. So it's been kind of rough. And I can't find a definite way to answer that. We just do it to the best of our ability. But
Yeah.
we just try to be direct with them as possible.
Yes. And even with that question, it speaks to what we face as, Black individuals in America daily, where we are primarily the only race that has to have difficult conversations such as this. How do we talk to our babies about matters such as this? And even with Joshua Ruffin's case, as he said, he had younger siblings, so it's not one where you can pretty much say, well, hey, we can wait till they get older. Sometimes, the ugly truth is they have to hear about it now, and they have to hear about it in this light. And that's why I'm so happy that we was able to help you and your family, and the story, the journey doesn't stop here, but be able to allow your voices to be heard, because enough is enough of the media shaping the reality that is for us. We have to learn to come together. We have to learn to stick together ultimately, because situations such as this, they can easily try to cause us to be at odds, cause us to have a rift, or cause us to believe that, hey, they are telling us the truth, and they're not. So I think that once again, I say it's an unfortunate situation that we have to have conversations such as this with our babies. But the good thing about it all is that we are moving progressively as a people as well. Enough is enough. And I think that, the younger generation is going to definitely be that one to continue carrying on that torch for us, to continue being the voices that need to be heard. Enough is enough of just dealing with the injustices due to our people, and just us sitting back and dealing with it. So I say that, I say this to say that, I definitely want to instill in my babies, to fight, to be wise in every move that you make, so that you don't find yourself in a crazy situation that you're trying to get out of. Think, because no matter how small or great it is, every action has a reaction,
Right.
whether it's great or small. So always be aware of your environment, yourself, and the things that you are doing. So to answer your question, Maria, I think that's the role we have to, and I think that we have to, as the elders, instill that level of fearlessness to a certain extent, meaning like, don't be afraid to have your voice heard, but you have to do it in a manner such as this, where you're allowing your voice to be heard on the platform,
Right.
where you're not afraid to stand up. Because I think elders that came before us, they might teach you, hey, you can't say nothing, or it's not okay to say nothing. But it's not okay to have to constantly watch our brothers, our babies, murdered in the streets daily. Enough
Right.
is enough. Enough is enough.
And I believe, and you see the way things are shaping up now, and it's just simply we as a people, we're tired. Like, it's a lot of things that, not just with the murders and things like that. I see a lot of things I'm proud of, like these Confederate soldiers and things like that. We don't want to see them hanging up in our communities. Like, I seen a situation where the college kids at Mississippi, Just well, it was a star football player at Mississippi just put out like he's not playing another down on football if they don't remove this Confederate monument from our flag. And it worked. It's down. So, things like that. We're as a whole, we're just tired. And
Mhm.
and that's a good thing. Yeah.
Absolutely tired and recognizing our voice matters.
Yeah, and
Right.
we're finally recognizing we got more power than we think.
Right. It's a mental thing. You
Right.
have to first recognize it first, and then once you recognize it, then you can act on it.
Right.
Yes.
And
So
I thank y'all for allowing us to, use you guys' platform. It meant a lot to me today. It really did.
and it's a one where you guys are welcome anytime if you want to extend that to any other members of the family if they want to come on and continue to allow the viewers to get a glimpse in the journey to see how others can assist you guys with going further in your journey. By the way, that brings me to a point. If you could you let the viewers know where they can donate to help for y'all legals fees, investigative fees?
We If you look on my Facebook page, there's currently a GoFundMe for Joshua Ruffin. And if you guys don't feel comfortable sending it there, you can cash app it to me. You
Okay.
can, yeah.
And his Facebook, by the way, is Timothy Timmons on Facebook. I will make sure that on Goddess Rap, if you are viewing this via Goddess Rap, our Facebook page, I will make sure I link the GoFundMe onto our page as well for those
Okay.
that are willing or wanting to help this family,
Okay.
move forward in receiving justice that they, definitely deserve.
Okay.
And what's your cash app, by the way, Timothy?
My cash app is Timothy 86 Timmons. Hold on. Let me look. T Timmons 86. That's my cash app.
T Timmons 86. So $ T Timmons
Yes.
86. And that's his
Yeah.
cash app if you're wanting to donate via Cash App. And like I said, as it relates to the GoFundMe, I'll make sure that I link the GoFundMe link on our Facebook page.
Okay.
We are thankful that you decided to come on and allow your nephew's
Yes.
story to be told, your voice to be heard. And definitely, this was, our honor to have you on today. This is why we do what we do. It's all about sustaining the Black family. And, it wouldn't be right if I heard about a situation such as this going on and not act on it.
Right.
Because, this is what, we do. And, enough is enough. Enough is enough. And we won't deal with it no more. And the story doesn't end here.
Right. We tired, and we're not going to stand for this anymore with any other children in our community.
No. Yeah.
Right.
We're not going to wait to another young child is murdered, or we're not going to wait till an adult is murdered. We have to take action now. Enough is
Right.
enough. So, like I said, I want to again thank you so much for coming on today to speak with us,
Yes. Thank you.
for giving us the time to allow your story to be heard, and for us to create the narrative.
Thank
And
you.
the fight still continues, justice for Joshua. So their fight isn't over, family. So if you're viewing this and you're hearing this, or if you catch this a little bit later, make sure you take the time to donate. If you don't want to donate financially or don't have it, see how you can get involved other ways to assist this family. So please do whatever you can. And if you're local,
And for the record, we're not. And I just want to say this too. Like, don't people that's listening don't think that you have to give us anything. Your support will be way more than anything you can give us.
right. Right. And that's ultimately what this family needs is the community support. In a
Right.
time in a place where they're saying, hey, this is fact and your nephew, did this. They need our support to sit there and stand with this family and say, no, this is not what we're willing to take, and this is not fact, this is not truth. So I stand with you all today. I stand with you, moving forward. So much love to you and the fam.
Thank you. And like I said, I really enjoyed this experience. First time I ever did anything like this, and hopefully it won't be the last.
Oh no, definitely. Like I said, I know personally I'm going to be following firsthand and seeing how I can assist, you all with your journey, connecting you all with anybody that I may know of that can assist. Anybody that may be watching this live, they may be reaching out to you as well. So I will that everything goes smoothly. And like I said, the story isn't over, the fight isn't over, and this is just the beginning. And we're gonna have to do what we gotta do.
All right. And
Yes.
thank you guys for everything.
No problem. So I want to thank, everybody who took the time out to view, everybody who will take the time to view this at a later moment, for taking the time to watch, to hear this family story. And I hope that you stand behind us, you stand behind this family and support and be there for this family as if it was your own. Like Born was saying, you don't have to wait till this is your son. This is your nephew.
All right.
So again, thank you, Timothy, for being here with us today. And much love to the family that's viewing.
Okay. All right. All right. And thank you guys. And I'll see you guys next time. Okay.
All righty.
All right.
All right. Mr. This groundbreaking experience, and this is what y'all delivered on. Y'all delivered on that promise. This, is definitely where you gotta make sure you in tune when you're hearing, you hear something wrong with you. You know what I'm saying? So, I definitely want to say thank you to both of the goddesses for coming through and providing us with an insight and the first look on how this is done. How this is done. We were able to identify how all of these arms and weapons.
Okay. Yeah, it's one of them heavy ones.
Right.
I will that, our viewers watched it from beginning to end. Frankly, I'm at a loss for words. I wanted to thank Born, for for providing the platform. You know, if you're watching this, you know, get the word out, pass the word out, because this has got to end.
Yes, like she said, you know, we're you know, grateful to, you know, our brother Born, you know, for allowing us to utilize his platform, allowing the family to come onto the platform and to have their story told. And like she said, if you're viewing this, if you're watching this, share this, you know, talk about it. You know, help this family out with their fight. If you have any resources or any information that could be of, you know, use for this family, reach out to them. If you don't know how to reach out to them, you can reach out to us via, you know, our Goddess Rap Facebook page. You can, you know, reach us at goddessrapgm@gmail.com if you need to get in contact with us regarding this. But this family needs all the support and love that they can get right now.
Yeah, hear me now?
Yep.